rise for a pledge to the flag.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, could we have the secretary perform a roll call attendance, please?
Here.
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 Here. Here. Here. Okay. All the board members should have received the minutes from the December 2nd meeting. If there's no discussion regarding the minutes, entertain a motion to accept them as written.
Make that motion. Second.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? See none, motion carries. All right. Our first item on the agenda this evening is Chelsea Farm subdivision.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members. We're here again, but we hope this is the last time. We not only hope, this will be the last time. So what we're here for tonight primarily is a modification, correction of the resolution, the one map note that requires or provides a requirement that no building permit until all the infrastructure has been constructed. It was discussed with the board at the last meeting. I think the board understands the difficulty it places the developer in to have to both provide a bond and to construct the roadway before any building permits can be issued. It's a problem for the developer, it's a problem with the financing, and I think the sense of the board last meeting was it needs to be modified. Mr. Lund just had a chance to review the resolution. He has one point he would like to make. I think it's a reasonable point regarding the lots that do not require the road for access or the other infrastructure improvements. You want to explain?
Good evening, Michael Lund. I'm going to be the developer. I did, for the first time, just see this resolution, and what I did just say to George was the only thing if the board would be willing to accept is if we could add some language that just says with the exception, I believe it's lots 13, 14, 16, and 17 on the filed map, which really are not off of the road that's going to be dedicated to the town, so I don't see why we should hold up any COs for those, and I don't think it would be a problem. I just noticed this, and I think.
So, to further explain, two of the lots are on Chelsea Road on the south side.
Correct.
You have no need for road access.
And two are on River Road there.
Two along River Road.
So, I think
Hey, guys, yeah, just talk into both of you.
So the access, the four lots that Mr. Lund is referring to, two are on the south side of Chelsea Road. Those do not require the road, no stormwater improvements, and the same situation is for the four on River Road, for the two on River Road. So if those are accepted, then this resolution is accepted.
So the road's already built?
No, it doesn't need a road.
No, because there's no
They're
road
right
to
off
be built.
Chelsea
It's
Road.
already,
There's an existing road.
yes, their
Yes.
frontage on an
Yeah,
existing road.
Chelsea Road is existing.
So why do you need an amendment?
Because this says no building permits will be issued for any lot in the subdivision. So we need to clarify that.
So I think if we, again,
No
just.
COs.
Correct. So I think if we put COs with, the exception of lots 13, 14, 16, and 17, it should suffice, in my opinion.
Are you looking to develop these four properties before you develop the rest of the project?
More or less simultaneously, I think the two on Chelsea Road are going to probably be our starting point to get the project off the ground, why we're building the infrastructure, which I think makes
Yeah,
sense.
there's basically four houses they can build
Yes.
without putting a road in. They're off the existing roads. Then the other lots, the other 3 or 4 lots, whatever they were, they go back to another road.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find it on the.
Which then would solidify the financing.
Correct. Yes.
George, do you have a copy of the original note that you emailed? The original note, because I thought the original note said something along those lines, but
It may, Bruce may have it on that
This
map.
is, Yeah, I'm just trying
It was
to,
Exhibit A.
It would be on the first page in the top left. There's
yeah, I only have part of the
Page
set.
6.
So I start at page 6, which is just a detailed,
5, 4.
right, yeah, it's only a portion. But the question, so the lots in question, I just want to make sure that we're,
A map or something that would denote.
you're talking about
the
14 and 15.
16 and 17 are on River Road, that I know. And then they're saying 13.
13 and 14 are on
So
Chelsea.
there's only 12 lots on the private road.
Yeah,
That
this
will
note
be a
doesn't-
town road.
Yeah, that's a current, that shows.
No, there's 17 lots.
This
Shall
lot.
not be
So where's 15?
I believe it's, so I think, I'm sorry, I
It
think
must
it's...
be 14.
It's 14 and 15,
It's
Barbara. you are-
14 and 15.
Yes.
16 and 17.
So
Yes.
the original note said a building permit shall not be issued for Lot 15 until the Chelsea Road drainage and site distance improvements have been completed. And then the third says building permits for Lot 16 and 17 shall not be issued until the lot improvement plan work has been completed and the design for the septic system has been approved by Dutchess County Department of Health.
And then I think, Mr. Barnett, if you look at the original page, the first page is where that original conflicting note that said the issuance of building permits. I think if the board is open to it, if you, the resolution that I believe is in front of you, point 1, if it was able to be inserted that just says, condition of the resolution of approval shall be corrected to read, if it started with the exception of lots 14, 15, 16, and 17, no COs of occupancy shall be issued for any lots. I think that would address everyone's concerns.
So the original note said that these are restricted? Is that I mean, basically,
Yeah, I mean, the original note dealt with no building permits at all for lots 1 through 13 until it's roughed in. And then it says a building permit shall not be issued for lot 15 until the Chelsea Road drainage and site distance improvements have been completed. So a building permit for lots 16 and 17 shall not be issued until the lot improvement plan work has been completed and design for the septic system has been approved by Department of Health.
when was that, those notes from?
This one was done in 16.
2016 as a condition of the
So
original
this
approval.
was discussed back in 2016?
Presumably.
So,
Well, prior to 2016, that's when it got its approval.
so how did we not know this was going to come up before you just read this tonight? You didn't think about this, like, before this came up, for us to actually read and prepare for this? I mean, I kind of feel like you knew about this, but like, you just threw it upon us right here in the meeting, and
Well, so I think,
to change it, without being,
well, so I think
to have our due diligence.
Well, so I think the last meeting when we were here, the only issue that I saw as a developer was the original note, remove the note for lot 15 and 16 that just says no building permits for lots 1 through 13, call it, on that road, because that really doesn't work for financing or anything to start the project. Now, I already know, just from going through in this town, there will be no certificate of occupancies until that road is built to code and standards. But those other lots, 14 and 15, that are on Chelsea Road, in my opinion, we should be able to start those, and why we're simultaneously building the town road. I don't see that being an issue. And there is, to make a comment on those two other lots, 16 and 17, there are some infrastructure work that has to happen on those lots prior to me getting a building permit, the health department approvals and other things. So they're going to be subdivided lots, but I still have to go through the health department permitting process to be able to build there, if that makes any sense. And I won't be able to get a building permit until the health department signs off anyway. So I think if that note was added on this resolution that just said with the exception of lots 14, 15, 16, and 17, it doesn't affect the town's case at
If
all.
you're going to do them simultaneously,
And
what's the
14 is
issue?
not even discussed.
Well, I mean,
Still have to
because,
get your bonds.
well, the bonds will be in place very
Why
shortly.
is it a hurry to get
Well, I
these
think
four
he said
lots?
he wants 14X.
I'm sorry, may I understand
Well,
your
you're
question?
saying you want to put another exception in here.
Well, just so that we can
Get
get
four
building.
building permits before you get the other building permits.
Well, no, if we change the note, we should be able to get building permits for all the lots. We just cannot get COs until those lots off the town road are built. But in my opinion, we should be able to get COs for the houses that are off Chelsea Road so that we could build them, sell them while we're building the town road. I don't see why that would
So
be.
how does this note change that? The way it's written now?
Because it says no certificate of occupancy shall be issued for any lot. So let's say the ones on Chelsea Road, the road's already built. I build the house, I have a buyer, I want to sell it.
Means you can't build them one at a time and get a CO individually. Is that what that means?
No. You can't get any COs until
Let me-
the road is put in.
Let me ask you this question. If it says, well, first of all, the original note doesn't address Lot 14 at all. There's nothing referencing Lot 14 at all. It goes from 1 to 13, then 15, then 16, 17. Does it make a difference if the term building permit in paragraphs 2 and 3 say a CO won't be issued until the Chelsea Road drainage and site distance improvements have been completed? Is there any issue with that? I'm not sure.
So I think we're saying the same thing.
There's two additional notes that we're looking at that
And I
are on the
didn't-
plan. So there's three notes. One of them references lots 1 through 13, which is what we,
The town road is going to.
exactly,
Yep.
that was the subject of this whole discussion.
And that's where we have to build.
What's coming into conflict now is also these second two notes that are on the plan that reference not getting a building permit for lots 15 and 16 until some drainage work is done on Chelsea Road and some site distance improvements, likely some clearing along Chelsea to make sure that there's enough site distance for those driveways. So there was a condition put in there to get that work done before a building permit could be obtained for those lots. And then also there was which lot was it?
Well, 15 for the drainage and site distance, and 16, 17 for the lot improvement plan and the Department of Health.
Right.
I guess my take would be, well, a lot of those things have to happen before we would get a CO anyway. So if we were to put no COs with the exception of, because I would think the town would want.
So 15, you'd get a grading permit to do the site work and drainage. And once that was completed to the town engineer's satisfaction, you could get a building permit.
And-
14 apparently doesn't have anything
It doesn't.
outstanding.
Yeah, see, I mean, here's the thing I got. I worked off of the letter from the project engineer, and there's no request to make any modifications to paragraphs 2 and 3 in the Exhibit A that we were shown. So this is the first time we're sort of hearing this, just in fairness to the board. So my question, I guess, is, because I'm looking at the letter now, and it was from this letter that we drafted the resolution. So my question is, if notes 2 and 3 reference the CO as opposed to a building permit, does that satisfy the request that you're making? I'm just trying to get a handle on it. I mean, a CO wouldn't be issued anyway, and I guess the concern would be we don't want to do away with the conditions of issuing the building permit entirely, but understanding that the issue regarding getting a building permit before making the improvements might be somewhat problematic.
Well, because it's almost the same thing as lots 1 to 13. I'm going to get a building permit, but unless I do the road and do all that infrastructure and drainage, I'm never going to get a CO, right? So it's almost the same thing.
Right.
I'm just a little concerned about the way it's being presented to the board.
I understand, and
I saw the summary, I went through all the material, I didn't see anything about any details, just a summary about the vote on a proposed amendment. I don't know what that amendment is, I don't know, I wasn't here in 2016 to see the original
Neither was I.
material, but I wonder if we could handle it in some different way, where we'll give them a cogent description, what the issue is and what needs to be amended.
do you see, Christian, an issue if that number 1, if it's with the
Okay,
exception?
I'm sorry, so no response there.
I'm sorry, say that.
No, I said something, and then you turned to him without responding.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't, what was the question?
Never mind.
Oh, I'm sorry, I must have, I'm sorry.
I mean, I said, I haven't seen any information on what the nature of this amendment was until you're presenting this tonight. My question is, why
I
are we
wasn't aware
hearing
of that.
about this now, not being given some background for the meeting?
I'm just seeing this for the first time tonight. I wasn't aware that.
No, but the letter from your engineer, that is directly off of the letter from the engineer. I have it right here, and there's no requested changes for those paragraphs 2 and 3. So this is the first time we're hearing about it. I'm just letting you know that this way, like I said, I want to be fair to the board. That wasn't in the submission.
No, I agree. I agree that the engineer should have brought it up, and that would have been part of the resolution.
So can I just, not necessarily clarify, but sort of restate? When we were approaching this in December, that overall prohibition on building permits until the improvements were constructed, that was the issue that stood out to me, certainly,
Right.
to Mr. London, to Mr.
Because I think everybody was concerned more about the other 13 lots.
These other conditions that are particular to lots, I can think of one way to handle it would be until it is basically require a sign off from the town engineer in order to issue building permits or COs. So when the grading has been suitably undertaken on, so lot 15, that the engineer can authorize issuance of a building permit. So he will act as a check on what happens on that particular lot. And with respect to the lots under the road, the same type of condition, because it's really, I think, between the health department, the developer, and the town engineer, something that if they're all satisfied.
Yeah, the health department regardless, they have to, they have to sign off on the building permit anyway prior to.
So those are particular to those 3 lots.
Yeah.
The basic question we were attempting to deal with in this resolution until Mr. Lund took a careful look at it is the global situation which requires the road construction and the bond. So
You keep talking about the building permits. This amendment talks about COs.
as it's amended, we talk about.
So I still don't understand why this language is a problem. You haven't explained it adequately.
Okay. So the global requirement for a CO to issue for any lot of there's 17 lots is that everything be done.
Of course.
But 4 of those lots do not require the road improvements or the drainage.
Well, so they're done. You're saying they're already done.
They're accessible now once the building permit is issued.
But there's many other things in here besides the roads. Water, sewer, underground utilities, off-site water and sewer.
All those improvements are connected with the roadway. If those 4 lots were a separate phase, they could be constructed. Maybe that's an easier way to think of it. There is no requirement for a road to be constructed.
But if the road's already there, then you don't have a problem.
Except for the language of the condition, which doesn't accept those 4 lots.
Why should it accept it if the road is already there? You're telling me the road is already there, so why is that?
Because the language is specifically stating that there's still needs stuff to be done for them to be able to do those 4 lots, right?
Yeah, that's exactly his
Get a CO,
concern.
not to get a building permit, to get a CO.
To get a CO.
Of course, all that has to be done to get a CO. So I really don't see what the issue is.
For the lots that are off of the new road, of course you would need that road to be finished and everything signed off on.
Correct.
For the few lots that are not off the new road, that are off of an existing road, that could potentially be done and completed and occupied without that road, the new road being completed, they would like the opportunity to be able to occupy those if they're done before the road is
But
done.
why wouldn't that be true if the road is already there and the building inspector goes out and looks at it and says, okay, the road's already there?
Because the language in the resolution prohibits it.
No, it doesn't.
It says for all lots.
Oh, I don't think it means, it says any lot, which I don't think that means that you have to do all lots at once. That's the way you're reading it? It has to be all lots at once?
Yes.
No, I don't think so.
No. You can't get a CO until the road is done.
Correct. When you tell me the road is
For
already
any
done.
lot. That's what it says. For any lot.
There's 17 lots, right?
But basically, it says you're looking for something that It basically says that you can get a CO for these 4 lots
Yes.
without the other road being
The
completed.
road that we're going to be dedicating to the town completely.
Without the new road being completed.
Correct.
I don't think the resolution requires that. The resolution just says, you got to do everything before any lot, singular lot, not all lots.
The way I read it, Richard, I'm sorry if I didn't answer your question, and I'm sorry the board is just seeing this now, but I just want to make sure this gets addressed now so it's done right, so the project can be successful. And I wasn't around in 2016. I'm going to take this now and move forward with it. The way I do read that note that's in front of you now, that says no certificate of occupancy shall be issued for any lots, all of 17. It's a little bit of an issue because if why we're building the town road.
I don't read it that way.
I love how you read it, but what would be difficult for me is if why we're building that town road, and if we're building someone's house off of Chelsea Road, and we finish that house, I would love to be able to get a CO, sell the house, get a little money back so we could keep putting it into the other.
I understand that. And I don't
how I
think
read
this
it.
stops that. You're saying it does. I don't think it does.
Right.
Can we just say it doesn't?
Well, which is why I was requesting, Robert, if we put the language with the exception of lots 14, 15, 16, 17, it cures everything.
I don't agree with you.
But these notes are preventing that.
Well, that doesn't, those don't
lots.
stop. This is separate.
The notes that Mr. Barnett and Christian were referring to are a few notes that I have to do as a developer anyway, but I could not even get a building permit from the town until those things are addressed. So I'd rather just have the map done right so there's no headaches, because everyone's going to look at the map. It's going to be filed, buyers are going to look at it. I'd rather it just be done the right way. And I believe if we added that language with the exception of those lots,
That makes it.
it doesn't, it makes it
That's
work.
good with them.
What liability do we open ourselves up to if we do that for those few lots? Like what Robert's saying?
To exempt them from?
Like, what's the worst case scenario possibly happen? They build the 4 lots and choose not to do the other, the road?
I mean, that would be part of it, I guess, yeah. But I mean, either way, they're actually separated out at that point anyway, once
it's separated.
Once it's been filed, so they could never build the road, but then, at the same time, they're going to be paying for a bond that's going to sit here until they kind of make that all go away.
So there would be no negative to it?
I don't think so, no.
I don't agree.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question again?
Wait a minute, it does say water, sewer, and water and sewer. Doesn't it say that?
Yes, it does. I think, can I just say, so is the request then simply that the note change, the amendment, only address paragraph 1, but we leave paragraphs 2 and 3 the same? Just leave it like it is?
I don't know if I have that, Kyle, I mean, I'm seeing what George did. I don't believe I have that.
It's the letter from the, here's the letter that your engineer, see, I told him I turned it, so you got to.
This is what you just gave us tonight, right before the meeting,
And that's straight from the
right before we started the workshop. He gave us.
But this says here.
I'm just trying to see what's the negative.
It's not just the roads, it's water and sewer.
You gave Richard a copy of this, correct? The resolution?
Yeah, he's got that.
We have to protect right there in your homeowners.
Copy your pub.
The buyers. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, if you moved into a house and you didn't have water and sewer,
No.
Well, then they wouldn't get the CO, right?
what?
Then they wouldn't get the CO.
There's an exception in here.
Paragraphs 2 and 3.
Somewhere.
Are they saying,
Don't worry about it, that's all they're saying. Don't worry about it. He's being difficult.
I see what
Can
you're
I
saying.
clarify the,
That I could see, changing, the verbiage of that.
Changing what for what, changing for which now?
Changing what? What? I did, Robert was just explaining about the sewer and water.
Oh, well, there is no, I mean, it's all private anyway.
yes.
Yeah,
It's well and septic, so,
so to get to,
Yeah, there's no sewer and water there.
yeah,
Septic.
yeah,
yeah.
before you build a house, you have to have sewer and water.
There's septic and wells.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, you're gonna have a,
It has to be done, or else you can't get a CO.
Of course. How does that?
Yeah, but
Take that out.
it's not like there's city water
Well,
here.
I think it's fine,
You have to have some,
except
when
for
you
the
go
fact
buy a
that
house, you want to force it to turn
they're
on
also
where
brought up a lot
where the
that's
water's coming
not-
from.
They'll be right.
The home inspector will pick up on that.
You come later when they go to
all right, so Kyle, what's your thought?
Well, I do have a concern because there's also a reference to a lot 14, which isn't addressed in this at all. So I don't know how we add something in about, I think it starts getting, the more we
The more we play
mess with this, the more we end up opening up the possibility that someone can claim, well, this is an amendment that's not based upon necessarily new information, or that allows you to amend a site plan without, or a subdivision without going through the whole process all over again. So, I mean, that said, I mean, in the spirit of what we've done, if you take, there's 3 paragraphs in that note. If you take paragraphs 2 and 3 and substitute the word building permit for CO, for certificate of occupancy, I don't think there's any issue with that, because we're getting, the planning board's getting exactly what was called for in the resolution anyway. It's still conditioned upon making sure those items are completed. So they just don't get the CO until it's done, but the building permit they can have. Same thing with 1. So in the spirit of what we've changed, if we also want to include in the resolution to change paragraphs 2 and 3 to substitute the word building permit for certificate of occupancy, I don't have an issue with that.
So we're changing out building permit with,
Correct.
yeah, gotcha.
Correct.
Thank you.
I mean, and that's fine. I mean, the items that are tied to it are still tied, so.
But what about condition number 1?
That's addressed in the, that's addressed in the that was already addressed in the resolution for this
Isn't that
evening.
what he wants to change?
Wants to change, there's 3 paragraphs in the note.
Right.
The resolution that we prepared for tonight
Oh,
only,
the note. Yes, go ahead.
only addresses the first paragraph. It doesn't address those other 2 paragraphs.
He also wants to revise that, though, to only reflect.
So you just want to get a building permit, not a certificate of occupancy?
Correct.
So even if it doesn't have sewer and water, he's still not getting the certificate of occupancy? He's just getting,
If you take that out, why would you argue that?
because he's just getting the building permit.
Thomas, to clarify,
But this is for the whole
1 through
subdivision.
13. So this would
Well,
have
that's
to
by
be
lot
changed to say
point
lots 1
one,
through
the
13.
exception of-
The current one says building permit. We're changing it to CO. I understand that. Now, to take out 4 lots as conditions before you get a CO, why would we do that?
Those are already taken out. So if you look at the note, it doesn't address 4.
The original one.
Correct.
So the original one separates it,
Already
and then
separated.
this one specifies the lots, the building permit.
So do we do this as it's noted with just 3 and leave 14 as is?
I don't,
There's no restriction on 14.
there's nothing on 14
Yeah, he can go
whatsoever.
ahead and build on 14.
So I don't think we can mess with 14 at all, quite frankly. I'm
You just got to
open
address the site distance on 15 on the south side.
I'm open to suggestions, but I don't know how 14 gets addressed at all. It's not even in the original, resolution.
Because there's no drainage problem and
I guess
there's
it was an
no
oversight.
site distance problem on 14.
no, I think it's that only.
I see what you're saying though, Robert, but if the original already had it separated and their resolution is to change just the
So
building permit.
what's the proposal to change right now?
So here's what it would be, may I, because I think it might be a little bit easier if I did. So you would take, the one, like for the thing you have in front of you, the resolution you have in front of you, that first sentence would simply, where it says condition 2L of the resolution of approval shall be corrected to read no certificate of occupancy shall be issued, and then that, where it says for any lots, that would now read for lots 1 through 13. Everything else would stay the same, exactly the same. Then there should technically be 2 more paragraphs in this resolution to address the 2 other paragraphs of the original note. And the original note says a building permit should not be issued for lot 15 until, and then there's the conditions. That would simply be changed, a certificate of occupancy shall not be issued for lot 15 until the Chelsea Road drainage and site distance improvements have been completed. And then you'll have a third paragraph here that says, where it used to say building permits, now it would say a certificate of occupancy for lot 16 and 17 shall not be issued until the lot improvement plans have been completed. So that would be the change.
So
So more changes on something else that we don't have in front of us.
What's that?
You were just talking, what's that on your screen there?
I'm sorry, you're articulating additional changes beyond what we see in front of us?
That's what's being requested, correct.
That's what's being, so it's not, no, it's just,
But we
it's not
can't-
just
we don't
this
have that
plus
information.
that.
You have it.
That's correct. What I would recommend, and I'm sorry, but I like things to be clean, and I like them in writing. I would put this over till the 22nd, so this way we can fix it up and
You
make
guys
it look
get
just
it,
like
can you
you
get
want.
a full,
Let us prepare an updated resolution.
a full package
Yes.
together, like, within a short period of
We can.
time? So not only is it that, we get to review it as a board, but then the staff can also go through it.
Yep.
And then they can get out a letter prior to the meeting, or at least get a draft out prior to the meeting. And if there's anything that could be hashed out prior, then we could do it that way, and we could vote on it at the next meeting.
That's fine, I'm okay with that.
With your permission, I would talk to your attorney and
Yes, well, as long as does the board have any objection to the two attorneys discussing this and hashing this out?
Not at all.
get it out to you.
Okay, so so with that, yes, you do that. I'd get this thing kind of put all your
Kyle, thank
concerns together so we redraft the
Yep.
resolution.
All right, thank you.
And then we
That's-
can go
more
forward
than
from there,
fair.
because obviously it doesn't sound, we're not going to get anywhere tonight.
Slightly guessing.
But again, make sure it's as complete as possible, and you're
understand.
picking up all the concerns, so we're not
I agree.
doing this again.
Correct.
Okay, so that's the one thing. So the other item you had on the agenda also this evening was an extension. So in light of where we are right now, does the board have an issue with issuing a 90-day extension for this project?
You were going to get, you said that we were going to get some clarification around where the process of the sale is from them? on this?
I mean, Mr. Lund's here tonight, so I'm assuming he's still buying it.
Oh, I'm here.
'Cause he's
So the plan really is, if we can finish with you guys in the next 30 days or so, I'd like to get the map filed, the bonds already
Yeah.
approved, and I will, work to get it to the point where the chairman can sign the map so I can file, and I'm planning on starting springtime. That's the plan.
So, yeah, no, I know, I just
Make sure that there's a clear,
Yeah, I agree.
we're not,
I agree. So it's all out on the table. So with all that,
I'll make a motion to grant a 90-day extension.
I'll second that.
motion's made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries.
Thank you, everyone. I'm sorry for the confusion tonight. We will come
Okay,
back and
so
make sure it's all
just-
set.
If
Yes.
you guys could work together to get this resolved, and we can take care of this. Hopefully it'll get all cleaned up at the next meeting. Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care, George.
All right. So our next item on the agenda this evening is Iglesias Cristana addition. Is there somebody from church here this evening?
Wow. Yeah.
Good evening. Thank you, Chairman of the Board. My name is Carlos Di Fonseca. I'm the architect of record for the proposed addition to this church. Here is the pastor, me. We got the comments in reference to few items like the lighting. and it's something that we're going to address. I know the lighting is very bright in certain areas, so we are going to make. Main thing is really to try to complete a site plan. That's what you're looking for. I think the site plan that we provide is not completed. It lacks information, distances, and all that, so we will complete that. We address the issue with the lighting, the issue with the parking. Remember, this building is not increasing the area, the amount of pews, so the occupancy is not going to be increased. It's something that the only thing that we needed with this extension is something, and any community facility building, any temple, is something that the church doesn't have. It doesn't have rooms for accessory uses for the children. It doesn't have even an office for the pastor. So they lack this area. They don't. It's a church that was built more than 100 years ago. So. And it's still, it has given the congregation. That's why we need that extension to take back. Number two, the issue with the bathroom, that we are in bathroom. Remember now they have a couple of bathrooms, a bathroom in the basement that it doesn't even fit, the 150 people that the parish, or that belong to the parish. So it's something that we have to address. So the only way that we could address that, we cannot increase the amount of bathrooms on the cellar. We just have to extend the building. The other issue that we have is for the septic tank, the amount. See, one thing that is happening right now, there was a septic tank installed. We are in the process now to get from the company who do the installation of the septic tank to give us a set of approvals and a set of drawings that indicate that, I'm sure when they submit that to the health department, they have to indicate occupancy loads and all that. The extra bathroom that we put in are not created because we are increasing the amount of people. It's because we don't have enough bathrooms there. It's really, no, it's just not good for the use.
Is there fields back there, or is it just a tank that they got to pump every once in a while?
That was our question too. So what kind of septic system do you have? Is it just leach fields back there, or?
It's like a septic, it's a tank, it's a tank.
Just a tank, and they got to pump the tank out a lot.
Yes, that's what they have.
Probably every 3-4 months, they're probably going to pump it.
Depends on how big,
see,
yeah.
See, one of the things that they use, remember, this building is used only maybe about 10 hours a week. Only when they have mass, and maybe maybe a few hours during the week, but not in main church, not in main temple. They use the cellar, so they meet there, and they have the pastor meet with the people there and all that. So the amount of use of the church is not like it's not like a building that is going to use every day. So it's only a few hours a week.
Yeah.
So that's why the septic tank is not really, we have to be designed by that. So, but we don't have the actual information right now, but we will obtain it once we get it from the people that did the installation, and they get the proper approvals from the health department. There are a few issues with the parking. The parking, as I said, just mentioned it again. The amount of practitioners, attendance for the church is not increased. They have the parking is in the front, is not delineated as parking. The church was built many years ago, so just people park one in front of the other one, and they understand how they have to leave and all that. So there are no increase on parking requirements by doing this extension in the rear. In terms of the setbacks, I'm a little bit confused. The church, we have the front yard is about 170 feet, the side yard is about 50 feet on each side, and the rear to the other street, which is a through lot, is about 100 feet. So you say something that it may not comply with the regulations. I was a little bit confused about that one.
I'm not expecting that there wouldn't be anything that would I'm not expecting it not to comply, only that the requirements are doubled based on the use, compared to what is written out in that table, and that whether or not they comply, it's information that should be on the plans.
On the plans, I agree with you. Okay.
Do we have a seat count On what the pews hold?
We don't. I was gonna,
That would have to be in there too, right?
yes,
Yeah.
We have, or comment that we have, we need, you want to get an updated survey, which we have. We're going to get you the information that is missing on the survey, so that we'll have for the next meeting. About the environmental report, we submit something, you want the full report, so we will provide that also with the EF mapper.
the mapper, yeah.
Mapper. So we'll provide that, okay? We have also, because we're doing the extension, the addition, we're probably going to require some dry wells or something. It's something that we'll have the engineer also deal with it. We may have to put a couple of dry wells someplace for the, now the stormwater is just going to the ground. So I don't know how the town will want us to put some dry wells to take care of the old building and the new building and the new extension, or we just have to take care of the extension. Because now currently it just goes right on the pavement, on the driveway. So maybe something that we could address. I think will be good if we put some dry wells, it will increase the cost, but something that we may explore to get some of the stormwater right into the ground. So something that we'll do that. Also, there are other things that I mentioned on these letters here that are really just lack of information on the drawings. We will complete them. There is an issue also from the fire department about the provide an extension of the fire alarm system and provide fire protection, which what I think it means that they want sprinklers on the building. Remember, it's an old building, but it's something that
Yeah, Pastor Eddie, thank you for your consideration. We would like some clarification on that. Does that mean we need a sprinkler system?
I haven't seen the fire.
That was, they got something from the Fire Prevention Bureau,
Yeah.
right? That was, I believe, what they were asking. Fire Prevention Bureau probably reviewed the plan, and then they said that they wanted just details on what you were putting in, I guess. I think the architect, whoever you're working, whoever put your plans together probably wants to look at something because, it is a place of public assembly. With the amount of people you have in a building, once you get to the point, you get to the number, which is probably 300 people, it might require, a sprinkler system to be installed, so.
Yeah, so if I may comment on that. So the most people we have at one time is on a Sunday, and we have two services. Our first service, which is in English,
Right.
about 50 people, and the second service in Spanish, about 150. That would be the max we have at one time.
Right.
And then, really, we're committed to taking good care of this building, right? It's been there a long time. To make it viable as a church, to keep it viable, we need this additional space because we have a chapel. We're doing church in a chapel, and we need the space to have our...
No, and I understand. It's not saying that a sprinkler system is required, because there's an alternate to doing it, where if you keep this as two separate buildings, they build where the buildings meet, they put a firewall in there, and you separate it, creating two separate buildings, and it probably won't be required. But that's something for you to have the conversation with the building inspector, let them make that decision, go through the code, go through the building and fire code with them just to make sure that they're okay with doing that. And that might just be something you have to alter your building plans for. But I think what we're looking for, we're looking more towards like the site stuff. We're not as much worried about the construction end of it and the fire alarm and sprinkler system, just that the Fire Prevention Bureau would like to know, and eventually I guess that will be put within the, into the record, and whether or not they're satisfied, we'll go from there. But the other end of it is, all the items that both the engineer and the planner, have stated in their letters, we kind of need a lot of information to kind of move forward. With finishing a review, just to make sure there is compliance. And, I think maybe both of them need to kind of review the letter, and I'll let you start, Malcolm, to go through what you have.
Absolutely. So, like you said, there's some information that is required as part of a site plan submission. Take a look at that section of the code, make sure all of that is included, that section 240-84. You make sure that those elements are included. In particular, what I will be looking for is the setback requirements and the bulk table, keeping in mind that you're, as a place of worship, your setback requirements are doubled compared to other setback requirements in the HM zone. The parking calculations, I mean, this will be part of the site plan submission, but getting a very clear idea of what the existing conditions are as compared to what the proposed conditions are. That will relate to, right, what the existing, it sounds like the existing parking scheme is not working for your congregation and you're looking to revise it. And so we'd be interested to see what the existing conditions are, what you're proposing, and how that compares to the parking calculation. The parking calculation for a place of worship is based off of the number of seats that you have in your pews. And so you'll want to make sure that you get that number, and on the site plan, you'll have a calculation of, you know, according to the code, this is how many parking spaces we need based on the chapel size. This is how many we would like. This is how many we have. This is how many we're proposing. If they're not the same number, that's okay. If you're proposing more parking than is required or less parking than is required, that is a conversation that we can have with the next submission. And then that full environmental assessment form will be very important for me. That full EAF Part 1 with the EA mapper, that will allow us to initiate the seeker process and make sure that you get sign-offs from people like SHPO. They do all of the historical and archaeological protection, things like that. But the full EAF will let us know who we need to loop into the process. I don't anticipate major problems with what you're proposing, but procedurally we will need to make sure. And then, you know, in addition, I mean, we talked about existing and proposed conditions and what is required in the site plan. We'll be looking for, you know, among a number of things, also the lighting, the existing lighting and what you're proposing for the lighting. Things like that.
The sheds.
Oh, that's right, yes. This will be very important as far as existing and proposed conditions. It's come to our attention that there are sheds in the back that have been modified, and those modifications don't appear on the plans. And so to legalize those sheds and the modifications that have occurred, we'll want to have a clear idea of the existing and the proposed conditions, including those sheds in the back.
And the lighting.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, if you just get the sheds on the plan, then
Right.
everything will be legal going forward.
They've already put them in, so he has to realize.
Yeah, just a clarification, Malcolm, on the parking, I mean, this is a historic church.
Yeah.
House of worship, so the parking is not necessarily, the required parking is not necessarily, I don't know whether it complies with code rules or not, but it's pre-existing
I agree.
anyway, so.
I agree.
There's a lot of room though.
The changes
If you arrange
that-
it right, I'm sure you get the right parking there.
Well, I'll clarify, Richard. The changes that they're proposing, in my interpretation of the code, do not require additional parking. That being said, you have proposed additional parking because the existing parking does not satisfy the congregation.
Not really, we just locate the parking the way they're parking right now, it's not.
So that's-
It's not increased, there's no increase on parking.
Then to your point, the parking calculation for your use is based on the number of pew seats that you have.
Yeah, true.
And you're not proposing to change that?
No.
And so there's no required additional parking. If you feel that the parking that you have on site satisfies the needs of your congregation, I don't think that by code there is any requirement for additional parking.
Don't say nothing about the parking.
Yeah, thank you for that clarification.
Absolutely, absolutely. I would add that for purposes of the record just sort of being the paper trail that has all of the information about what you're proposing, we have talked about the fact, that you expect this many parishioners on these services on Sunday, that the rooms in the back are for these purposes. They may or may not be used on certain days. If we can get a more clear idea of what rooms are being added, what the proposed use of those rooms will be, and if those rooms are proposed to be used on other days of the week and not on Sunday, that should be in writing as well. That will strengthen the argument that this addition is designed to satisfy the existing congregation and not accommodate additional parishioners.
Like if they're going to be offices or Bible study.
Yes, exactly. Evening classes, that's my understanding. But if we can get that in writing.
We will include that, yeah. And it's just a matter of, the men having a meeting.
Yes.
And the women in different rooms, just having the space to do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you had mentioned, our comments were pretty much all touched on already, but the items that weren't really were the septic and the water. So you guys have an on-site septic, or the septic tank that you can pump and is hauled away, and a well, correct? And you mentioned that you are working with someone to evaluate that and working with the health department.
Yeah, we have, actually the people that did the installation of the septic tank, they are getting us the paperwork and the approvals. And also, apart from that, I'm going to have an engineer do like a site analysis for the stormwater and all that, so we'll have somebody will review it, a licensed engineer will give us a report on that and analyze what we have there.
So I think we're going to need some feedback from the health department on the proposed addition, just to make sure that they don't constitute, this wouldn't constitute an expansion of the existing use.
Yeah.
So you are working with an engineer and with the health department on that?
Yes, we have.
Okay, great. So all the town really needs is correspondence documenting that, and obviously showing that information on the plan, where that system is, what it is, and then correspondences from the health department, outlining what the proposal is and their response. So if there's modifications that need to be made, if it needs to be a larger septic tank or whatever, if it's a more frequent pumping schedule or a change to an alarm that's on there or something. I'm not sure what the situation is over there, but that will be all regulated by the health department. We'll just need copies of all those correspondences.
You mentioned something also about the history of the historic records of the pastor was at the building department wasn't looking for records, actually, because we have a cemetery that we're going to respect. We're going to keep that. We are going to be keeping our boundaries away from the cemetery, but you couldn't find any real anything.
Yeah, as you know, the building dates back to pre-Civil War, so not any records that I could find on the burials, but the area is well separated, and you're keeping away from it.
That was more of a general comment for that EAF mapper and the EAF form that Malcolm was talking about. That's all part of the town's seeker review process that they have to go through, and part of that is that box which talks about the State Historic Preservation Office, so SHPO, where this should really go to them, for them to have it go through their database so that they can issue their determination, whether it's a determination of no impact, which is what, if they look at this and say there's nothing historically significant that this proposed modification would impact, they'll issue a no impact letter. If there's something in their records that either this site or something around it or immediately adjacent to it is historically significant for any reason, they'll issue comments on how they believe it should be addressed. So that was the intention of the comment. That'll be something that this submission, if the board decides to circulate, the next step for this would be a determination, a secret determination, or the board determining whether or not they want to act as a lead agency for the review. So, and then circulate it to involved agencies, the state being one of them. So this would go up to them, and they would issue a determination after they receive the materials. So we're about to get to that point where they'll start talking about that.
So I just have one thing. It sounded like in the pre-meeting, you'd spoken about some issues being brought to light regarding some maybe potential building going on, in addition to a shed or.
Yeah, that looks like
some
something.
other stuff. So I just recommend you getting ahead of that now, because I don't want to see you go through all this work and then you're being held up on your project because those things weren't taken care of. You see what I'm saying? So maybe work closely with the building department, figure out what they need to see from you and how to recommend stopping what's going on or getting those legalized so it doesn't hold up the project in total.
Yeah, apart from the sheds, I think the only work that is being done, they replaced the steps entering into the church that was falling down, so. And I think they got a permit for it, if I'm not mistaken.
There also is a note here, let me just see something. The lights that got put up in the parking lot and on the building. The building of the back of whatever you're doing on the back of one of the sheds. And also, and a replacement of a water heater.
Oh, no, we haven't installed a water heater. There is an old water heater that we need to get rid of. It's not connected to anything. It's garbage. It's been sitting in the back of the building.
But when you took it out, did you put a new one in?
That's been there as long as I can remember. It's just the fixture that we need to get rid of.
Well, let's talk in the building department on these. But the lighting is an issue that has to be taken care of here. And whatever you're doing on the back of the shed, just stop for now, but propose it to the planning board, whatever you're looking to do on it.
Should we do something with the lighting now? What the way the
Well,
lighting
you
is
should
now?
have that in your plan.
But apart from that, I think there were some comments from neighbors or something, so.
Well, I would have it off.
We just have to make,
They're off,
it's something that we could correct it now.
Yeah, no, we should.
But any lighting has to be approved here, so you can't correct it until you provide a photometric plan with the lights and the type to the planning board, which then the planner and the other consultants here will review to see if it's within the code of our lighting.
What I'm saying, it is something that is not legal now, maybe we could correct it now, take it out.
But we can't correct it.
You would have to get a permit.
No, we just.
So I just,
We should have.
really the best thing is just don't do nothing more until you really just partner with the building department, because every little thing that you do that might not be right but it's temporary may prevent this from moving forward. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So just get it all straightened out, partner with them, get everything the way it's supposed to be on your documents, and that way this whole process will be seamless for you, instead of, continuously coming up with hurdles because you're doing something that is not right. It's temporary, but it's just not right, so. You mentioned a driveway too, I think earlier, something about driving around the building or something like that.
Yeah, when you bought the building, was that access road, if you want to call it, or
Was there?
around the building?
Yes, yes.
And you're actually going to remove most of it with the addition if this goes through?
Hopefully not.
No.
We may have to move it a little, but.
Okay, I don't know how much room you have between your proposed building and the cemetery.
There will be no space, it's shown on the drawings, I think we have to do it.
Is that blacktopped, that road?
Yeah, it is.
Or Millings or something.
Because it's
With the
handicap
snow
spots.
today, it looks like Millings or Blacktop.
Yeah, because
It has to be clarified, but it's not.
Okay, but all that needs to be on your site plan.
Do you need a photometric, or do we have to get an?
For the
engineer?
lighting, yes.
Yeah,
Because
for
it
the
can't
lights,
be more than, what is it, 0.5 foot candles off the property
Oh, at the edge,
at the
yeah.
edge, not only the ones on the building, which go way off, but you also put in poles with lights. There's like 6 from the church forward to the road, and I think you have some, I don't know if they're wall packs or lighting in the rear.
You probably referenced the lighting code
Those
section,
poles, they have solar lighting.
Solar lights.
That's just
Well, they still have to show how bright they are.
Gotcha.
not bright enough.
But you're looking at the color temperature as well.
It's
so
just that one, you have like structures right against it on both sides in the front, so you still have to show what
And
that
at some point,
is.
this would go to the public hearing, right?
Right.
So by making sure those are to code, it's going to help you in the long run when you have people coming to public hearings saying that these lights are too bright. We're able to say, well, that's actually to code, so you see what I'm saying? So, and you can look back, don't take this personal, if you look back at some of our other meetings, you'll see us with other businesses, and, doing this, that had to go through the same thing, not just through getting the right lights, but also going to public hearing and talking about those lights, so. We're trying to save you the time of having to lose time because you're not doing this all up front, that's all.
We understand. We appreciate
And
it.
the lights on the building, they're very bright and they face straight out, so perhaps come up with some sort of a shielded light. So I understand for safety of a lot of stairs there, but you want something that doesn't shine outward toward your neighbors and the public road, maybe down shielded, different fixtures, but you need a photometric with that.
The parameters of the lighting code are spelled out in section 240.23. And that'll go through, I mean, there's a lot of information there, but the big numbers are not to allow measurable light to spill over your property boundaries, and for the strongest intensity of your lighting on the site to not exceed 5-foot candles. And that's just to prevent situations where you've got certain portions of the property that are overlit, certain portions that are underlit, uneven distribution of light then creates shadows. It's unsightly, but it's also dangerous, and so all that information is in 240.23.
Great.
All right. I think we've gone over everything we pretty much discussed during the pre-meeting. So again, I go back to the question I raised earlier, do we feel that we're, well, first of all, should we do this as a coordinator review or non-coordinator review? That's something that the board has to determine. So if we're going to go ahead and do it as a coordinator review and then circulate for lead agency, again, are we too soon for that?
I think we could. I think that, like you said, though, if we wait for the full EAF, we'll have a more complete list of everyone who may need to be contacted.
Right.
So, it's at the board's discretion. We can certainly circulate now. We have a good idea of who needs to be contacted, and if it turns out down the line with the EAF that anyone was left out, we'll circulate at that time, and the timing will be
So then we'll have
that
to,
time.
we'll have to restart the clock to
We'll have to wait those 30 days at that point.
For that one agency to return.
But if we circulate now, there's a very good chance that we won't need to do that, and that the clock will start now.
All right. So the first question is, does the board wish to be, do this as a coordinator review and planning board take lead agency for the review of the project? If we want to do so, somebody make a motion to do the coordinator review.
That'll start the clock right now, right?
And that'll start for circulation of lead agency.
I mean, we should probably, I don't know, I think we should be doing that. But do we have to put in for it?
We don't have to. I mean, we wait for them to make the next submission, make sure that we have everything in order that needs to be there.
That's kind of where I'm at, is wait, make sure we get
I think
everything
that's
together.
it.
There's a lot going on there.
Yeah, so why don't we hold off on dealing with this seeker and circulating for lead agency?
Yeah, because then we don't put any constraints
We'll do the
on that.
I guess we'll do the coordinator review, so we can vote on that at the next meeting when they come back.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I mean, I think that's what we need. I think everybody feel a little more comfortable getting, more information.
Yes.
We get the complete package, and then we can make the decision. That way, when we do circulate, because it sounds like the board's going to do the coordinator review, then we will circulate, with a complete package, and then we'll know exactly who we need to send it to. So at that point, they'll start 30 days later. If nobody objects to it, we become lead agency, and then we can move down the road from there. Okay? Great. Anything else anybody has? No?
Next,
So based upon when you make your next submission with, the items that, we kind of discussed tonight at the, with the two letters one from the planner, one from the engineer, once address those and get that information on basically a site plan, we can move forward from there.
We will submit that. So I will create a date now, and take, we need 30 days for that or something?
We really can't do anything till you submit.
Yeah.
So if
Okay.
it's in a week, it's one date. If you don't bring it in for 3 weeks,
Oh, I see.
then the agenda
So
would be the
we
next.
submit, and then we get the date.
When you submit, Mr. Ganti will give you the date.
Okay.
And our information is on our comment letter too, that you should be getting, so if you have questions, feel free to reach out to our office.
Yeah, great.
So,
Same.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, you're
Thanks.
welcome. Have a good evening. Okay. All right, our next item on the agenda this evening is Horbar and Hotchweiss lot consolidation.
Hello, members of the Planning Board. Thank you for hearing this application for a lot combination at the Ober Creek subdivision. My name is Andrew Rainiak. I'm the architect of the house that's currently being built there. And I'm representing my clients, Dr. Sharon Hockweiss and Dr. Gary Horbar. They wanted to build a house for themselves, their 2 daughters, and they're hoping their grandchildren. And to that end, they purchased 2 lots at the Ober Creek subdivision, Lot 3 and Lot 4. We looked at the 2 lots. Lot 3 is fairly encumbered with the driveway easement on it for Lot 2, as well as access to the Ober Creek farm itself. So we elected to build a house only on Lot 4, and the owners decided that they wanted to keep the 2 lots separate. We submitted and received permits for a house that complies on Lot 4, which is under construction. They're just doing the interiors now. During the course of construction, the owners decided that they wanted to merge the 2 lots. The reason for this is to allow them to have a driveway that uses the existing paved road that runs along the beautiful existing stacked stone wall and goes through 2 stone pillars that have been built there by Ober Creek. The only way for them to do this is to merge the lots so that they can enter from New Hamburg Road, go along the existing roadway, and then come up to the house from behind. We submitted this to the town, and we received notes in 4 steps. The first was to add a health department note, which we've added to the survey. The second was to make a note that clarifies that none of the other easements, improvements, or pertinent requirements on Ober Creek Farm are affected by this process. This is really just the deletion of an imaginary boundary line. Then we received a request to include the bulk table on the plan, which we did. The house was already compliant on 1 lot, so now it's on a larger lot. It's just more compliant. And tonight during the work session, I heard that we need to also add a signature line for the town to approve this. So as soon as I receive the information for that, I will add it to the survey, and I hope that that addresses the concerns.
Okay. Any of the board members have any questions for the applicant?
No, everything was good.
Okay, all right. As the applicant obviously has addressed all staff's concerns, for the most part, or at least described what they're going to do to move this forward. All right, so with that comes in one item that the board needs to address is whether or not we wish to have a public hearing for this, being that there's really not going to have any effect on any of the neighbors. Entertain a motion to waive the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion made, seconded, all in favor? Aye. Okay. Okay, now, if nobody has any objections with what's been proposed, entertain a motion to have the planner draft a resolution of approval based upon what's been submitted.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Motion's made, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. So pretty much all set. You go on, so we'll be on the next agenda just to vote on the resolution.
Great, thank you again, and as soon as I
You'll set from there.
receive the format for the signature stamp, I will submit a new survey. Thank you very much, everyone.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Okay, so the last item we have on the agenda is an extension for Over Creek Farm Brewery and Tasting Room site plan. I don't know if the board has any questions. I do see the applicant is here tonight.
No, I think we had all that good, right? We were good on all that.
Yeah, everything's good. This is their first extension.
Yeah.
So entertain a motion to grant a retroactive extension from November 20th, 2024 through May 19th, 2025, which is a six-month extension.
3 months or 6 months on this one?
There's a site plan, so they're allowed to do it in 6 months.
6 months, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll make that motion for.
I'll second.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. So, all set. So being that we're to the end of the agenda, there's nothing else to discuss. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Aye.